What up? All right, so let me see, make sure I got things moving here. Let's see. Trying to get this freaking Instagram up and going. Yeah, there we go. Cool. Cool. All right, all right, all right, all right. Let's make sure that I am good. I'm gonna check my own stuff here. Got some stuff to talk about tonight, guys. So if you want to hang out with me for a little bit, I appreciate that. If you're catching this on a re-air, I appreciate that as well. You know what I mean? So I'm just checking on my page, make sure that I'm seeing stuff. Let's see. I don't know. They say I am. So, actually, you know what? Hold on. I know that's why. There we go. All right. So now my Instagram should be up and going. There we go. Yeah. Yeah, the extra step always gets you every time, especially you don't do it as much. And I don't do it as much, you know what I mean? So, yo, what is up, everybody? Hey, if you don't know who I am by now, but if you do, great. If you don't, I'm Barry Gaines of GainesCon Media Incorporated. We're a nonprofit organization located in Las Vegas. Our mission is to showcase, educate, and produce the work of aspiring filmmakers in underserved communities and beyond whose projects lie within the action, sci-fi, fantasy, and horror genre. So that is what we do, and our plan and our mission, and we have been doing this, is to also provide free workshops, programs for Las Vegas creators, where those who are into the action, sci-fi, fantasy, and horror genre, such as actors, of course, but stunt men and women, screenwriters, music composers, visual effects artists, makeup artists, all that stuff. If you are those creators and you're always creating on your side, doing your thing, trying just making stuff up and doing the work, that's great. And what we do here at Gaines Comedy Incorporated is that we have an annual film festival. That's the first thing. That's our biggest thing in the year, where we go ahead and showcase work from around the world because we are international, but mainly we like to show well, we're proud when we actually have local artists in Las Vegas showing their work within the genre and showcasing that. Not only in the theater in which we do, we always showcase your work in the theater. So if you are an artist and you have a short film, you have music composition, you have something we like in my screenplays. Well, we can't throw it on the screen, but of course, people would know that is there. But if you do have some kind of visual medium, within within the genre, then we showcase it, and we showcase it in a movie theater where it should be. Give we pride ourselves in making sure that your work is shown respectively and in the best possible arena, which is a movie theater, a big movie theater at that. And the movie theater that we do showcase your work in is here in Las Vegas. It's in the Palm Hotel. It's the Brendan Theater. Okay, and this year is going to be December 4th and 5th. Okay, in the Brendan Theater in the Palms Hotel, and that's where we're going to have it on the 4th and 5th. And we're going to showcase work, but not only showcase your work on the screen, but we also simultaneously run it online. So people actually can see the whole show online through a third party company, which is a great company called EOFlix, which is now also in line with Sinlot. All right. So just go to my page and you'll see all of that. If you have any questions, please just reach out to me. And we're getting that together right now because we have a few months left. And we are open, of course, still for your work, your short action, sci-fi, fantasy, and horror film. But also, we also looking for partners. We're always looking for partners because one thing, if I didn't mention this already, we are a nonprofit organization. All right. So we live off of contributions of all types. Okay. So if you like to contribute in any way, then please get in touch with me and we'll talk about it and hopefully have you on there. And then we'll work to grow and scale this film festival together. Just scale this space together. Because you got to figure, listen, there's really not a space for where all the action, sci-fi, fantasy, and horror lovers can go to. Like where everyone is in the same mind, all in a hive mind. Ready just to world build together, create some great stuff, create the next Avatar, create the next James Bond, create the next Star Wars, create the next Lord of the Rings, create the next Obsession. You can go on and on. This is who we are. This is what we love, and we want to provide a space for this. And right now, it's going in our third year. It's kind of tough to be a nonprofit organization. Just to let you guys know, if you're not into nonprofit, yeah, it's kind of tough, But you know what? It's also gratifying when you actually see smiling faces and people happy that you actually care about their work. Unlike a lot of other film festivals that sometimes just don't accept that. There's nothing wrong with that. This is not what they do, and many just don't. Especially if you're not at a certain scale, they want you at a certain scale in order to maybe show something that's not really in their wheelhouse, you know? So a lot of times people who are underneath that scale, although it may be a good story, it could be a decent cinematography, everything can be really decent enough, but sometimes they want it for a higher level. And that's their prerogative. Nothing wrong with that. It's just that it gives less space for people like ourselves, indie filmmakers like ourselves, because I'm an indie filmmaker myself, that a chance to actually showcase our work, you know what I mean? And a chance to actually say, hey, listen, or maybe someone out there saying, I see what you're doing, and you got some good talent, but we need to work on a few things. That's all we want. That's a lot of times that's all we want is a chance. Just someone just someone to reach out and give us a hand or say it's great something any type of verbal accolades is good enough. You just want something inspiring to keep going, because in this business doing what we're doing is really tough. It takes a lot of work, and all you indie filmmakers out there, indie artists, creatives know what I'm talking about, right? It's very hard to kind of stay on a steady track, to kind of keep that inspiration up, because most of the time we're just not doing that. People got lives, they have kids, they have families, they got jobs, and you really want to try to get into this realm, so you have to juggle a few things on your way, or trying to get to what you are meant to be. That's what I call it. So when you try that, it's tough, and sometimes you just need every now and then someone to tap on your back and say to you, you know what, you're right. Just keep at it. Just keep at it. And I always say, if you want to fail, stop. That's the only way that you fail. If you stop going for what you're designed to do. If you stop going for what you're designed to do, you're going to just shrivel up like an old rose and wither away. And no one's ever going to know what you've done. People are going to look at you. However, it's just not going to work out well for you. So the more that you just keep at it, doesn't matter, man. You don't have to be a millionaire. You don't have to be ultra famous. There's nothing wrong with that. I think everyone should go for a goal of being known as much as they wish to be. There's nothing wrong with that. So never think that, all because you say, I want to be a superstar, I want to be on all of the marquees. There's nothing wrong with that. And if anyone tries to kind of put you down on that, you just push those people away, because we want what we want. Okay. We work hard and we want to be rewarded for that if we can. Or on top of that, we want to share our talent with the world, and hopefully those that would admire it, those that would really kind of be drawn to it, will be drawn to it. So that is why, do what you want to do. You want to be a superstar, you be a freaking superstar. You know what I mean? Because hey, listen, someone's going to have to be it, right? So anyway, do what you have to do. And here at GainesCon Film Festival, we push for that. We don't need, we want you to come in, we want to showcase your work, we want to try to put you out there. We do have um some streaming platforms that we do give to winners, in order for them to get a shot to maybe do some profit sharing, at least get something for it. If they get enough eyes on it, just kind of get it out there. Listen, we all know it's convoluted out there. Yes, yes, I know. It's freaking convoluted out there. It's really hard to cut through all the fucking cheese, you know what I mean? But somebody will. Why not you? You just got to keep at it. Someone is. Right. It's not to the point of like, oh man, I can't put my stuff out there. It's going to be all freaking it's going to be so much, no one's going to see my stuff. And I'm like, that's not the case. You don't worry about that. What you just worry about is getting it out there, because you know what? Someone's cutting through all that cheese. Someone's cutting in, and why not it be you? You just never know what's going to take off. So you keep pushing, you keep writing, you keep creating, and just keep at it. That's the only way that you always going to win, as long as you keep doing what you're doing. Once you stop, my logic is this: once you stop, you fail. That's it. Period. Don't stop. You win. Stop, you fail. So if you don't want to fail, don't stop. Just keep at it. It doesn't matter how long it takes, because trust me, pennies add up. You know what I mean? Pennies add up. Just keep at it, because it's better than someone not. You'll be in a better position even if you finish something small, or maybe something you feel is lesser than. At least you finished it. There are much more people out there who have not finished it, or didn't even attempt to try it, or just can't for whatever reason, So if you have the opportunity to do anything, to complete anything, guys, anything at all, that's a huge accomplishment. And you know what I'm talking about. You know the people, right? They out there who took a whole lot of stuff and haven't really done nothing. They haven't completed maybe a task, maybe a movie altogether, like something. You just need to complete something. Like for myself, let you tell you a little bit about myself really quickly. I'm 56 now. I can't believe it, right? 5'6". I'm like, whoa, where did time go, right? But anyway, I'm 5'6" right now, right? 56. So, but I started filming since I was 10 years old with friends of mine back in Far Rockaway, New York. And then as life goes on, you just do more, and you just have a good time with it, and you take it a little more serious. But then things happen, whatever, and people don't take it that serious anymore. They kind of still stay at the same level, and you kind of move on. And I moved on, and next thing you know, I started to work in the music business. I worked for Relativity Records. I worked for Warner Bros. Records. I worked for Virgin Records. I worked for A&M Records, which is defunct right now, along with Relativity. And I just kept going. Then I was assistant manager in the club. And then I worked for La Bar Bad, which is a great club years ago. Anybody that knows La Bar Bad back in the freaking 90s know what I'm talking about. Everybody was there. Prince was there. Eddie Murphy was there. And a lot of people came to visit. It was a high-end place. Anyway, I loved it. It was a really great time in my life. So, life goes on and on and on and on. I get married and stuff. I moved to Richmond, Virginia. And then I start to get into my movies again. But this time I want to take it to the next level. I just don't want to stay level. I don't want to be freaking, videotaping on VHCs or some shit like that. You know what I mean? Now, you want to start going to film cameras. You want to start actually producing your work to a higher level, something more professional. And that's what I started to work on and do. And eventually, when I moved to Florida, I went ahead and said, I'm going to go all out, do what I have to do, whatever I can. And I went ahead and I do pretty much everything. The only thing I don't do is music and visual effects. But I went ahead and I wrote a script. I cast the people. I edit the product. I do all of the actual cinematography. I went out there, did the marketing. I did all of that. And I did it for 2 films. It took us 4.5 years in Florida. And it's called The World of Worlds. So if you go to Tubi and Apple TV, I was able to get 2 distribution contracts on that. One I didn't like, one I still work with right now, which is great in the UK. So you can see those films right now, but it was really hard to get anyone to even give me a shot or even look at it or just give me a chance on the film. Like, do you like my film at all? Like anything. And it took me for months and months, almost probably a year. I must have sent out over 800 emails. I'm not even exaggerating. Before I got anybody. I made so many calls I can't even count. I did everything I could. I went to functions, all of these things, just learning as I go. And eventually somebody took it, I went ahead too, as I was doing all this, I was putting my movies into film festivals like I'm creating. This was inspired me to make my own film festivals. So I went to a lot of film festivals, or, just, dropped it in a lot of places around the world, we've gotten over 7 awards for both of the feature films that I made, which is called A World of Worlds, and the other one is called A World of Worlds: Rise of the King. That's the name of the two. If you want to check them out, just bring up my name, Barry Gaines, on Tubi. And the reason why I'm pushing it right now, because we worked so hard for it, and everyone that worked with me really believed in this story, and we went for it. And it took us 4.5 to almost 5 years to do both of them, because people got lives and families. And also, too, when it comes down to budgeting, we didn't have that much money in the first place. So I funded mostly everything. I had two actors that gave me a little money at the time within these 4.5 to 5 years, and the rest I put myself. I went out there and I said, listen, I need to get everything I needed. So I reached out to people to complete the task, to talk a little bit more about it. When I finished actually filming like the first feature, I went ahead and I looked for a composer. I wanted real music. I wanted something beautiful. I want real music shaped around my scenes. And I found a gentleman by the name of Michael Vignola. You can look him up right now. Michael Vignola. He's a genius. And he was great. He lived in the New York area, where I'm from, where I'm born and raised, and we clicked and everything. So when you watch the first film, he did all the music, and the music was shaped to every scene. It was beautiful. Then after that, I did to Rise of the King, and I got another composer because I just need a different type of shape, different type of tone for the second one. So I met a gentleman by the name of Andrea Bellucci in Italy. He's now in LA. So Andrea Bellucci, great composer, went ahead and did my movie, composed everything for the second one. So you'll see the difference in tone, and the way I filmed it was a little different. And everything was low budget. Okay. This is not like high budget, high scale stuff. It was a big story that we didn't have all the money to do everything we wanted for the big story, but it's still a big story in itself, and we just utilized what we had. And both these movies, when you see the visual effects in both these films, all done by my man called, his name is Prakash Kamarajan in India. And I met him just by chance when I was looking for someone to do the visual effects. And I went around several people, and it just didn't work out, fell through or whatever. And then just one day I saw his name listed on another project that I just happened to pass, and they said the visual effects were done by this guy. And I'm like, okay, let me just reach out, see who this guy is, because I liked the visual effects in this film years ago. And then after that, I called and we hit it off, and now we're still friends, and we are going to work on my new project together. So these are things is why you just got to keep at it. When you do all of these steps and you build all of these things, you learn a whole lot. You learn how to deal with people. You learn about budgeting. You learn about just the process of filmmaking when it gets to a certain level. Like, learn about the importance of sound design. You learn the importance of cinematography when you edit, when you know that, oh my God, I didn't light it right, whatever. And you got to put all these tools into your editing your NLE, your nonlinear editing tool. And then sometimes that just pulls you back. It just makes everything take a little longer. It just boggles down the process. So you learn these things. I learned these things, and also too just learned to film with actors, professional actors. These people, where these you got a great group of people with you, and they know their shit. They're amateur. They trying to get into the game, but they know their shit. To take their shit seriously, and just to work with them and schedule everyone's scheduling, make sure everything is good. And then on top of that, learn how to speak to, businesses in order for them to help you maybe use their facilities, use their property. How do you speak to them? How do you come across with them? I mean, what do you say? Some say no, some say yes, of course, but you go through that whole process. I was going around town just looking at stuff that I like and just knocking on people's doors, bro. And I was just kind of like, hey, how you doing? My name is Barry Gaines, and I have a new movie called The World of Worlds. Do you mind? I was one of those things, I was one of those guys, and I'm like, some people say, no, we can't do that. Or, hey, do you have your do you have insurance? Do you have what's your budget? They get to these places where at the time we didn't have any. Now we kind of do, but at the time I didn't. I was just a guy that wanted to film, and I wanted to film there, and I had a camera and I had people, and I'm like, we can do this today, or take a day to shoot it. So, and on top of that, when you do all of this, the big thing is, if you're a screenwriter, for example, you start to understand and how to write certain scenes to take less time in order for you to get your point across. So, then you start to kind of pull back on some of the ideas that you have. And sometimes you have to, because you have to be efficient. because you know you don't have all the resources like a big budget movie has. You don't have all of that. So you utilize what you have because your main concern, guys, your main concern is being a creator of any type is to get your point across, okay? Get your story across. It really doesn't matter too much about the environment. Yes, I understand environment does matter because it kind of it's part of character. Yes, but if you didn't, it'll be a book, right? A book doesn't have the environment. It tells you what the environment is. You know what I mean? But and when you come to a visual medium, a lot of times you just need something around you that's good enough, that's close enough. But the words that are coming out of the actors' mouths, the position, the situations, the actions that are going on within that scene, within that frame, is telling your story. That's all you need to really worry about. Get that story across. You can worry about and you can shape the environment any way you want, but as long as your dialogue comes out, as long as those scenes and those actors and things are moving around the way they should in order to interpret what you're trying to tell the audience, then that's all you need to be worrying about. And always remember that. And that's why you can get up the next morning and say, you know what? I don't have motorcycles. I don't have all these warehouses, but I got a house and I got a car. Or I have a friend's car. And you know what? We're going to change that bitch to a car, not a bike. We're going to change that fucking warehouse into just a house of my friend's house has. And we're going to put people in and we're going to work it out that way, but we're going to get the same story across. It's the same story. It's just a different environment. So that's why you always have the power to tell your story, no matter how big it is. It's all about how you tweak it. The story's a story. That's not going to change. That's not going to change. So that's why when it comes down to me just creating this festival called GainesCon Film Festival, it just reminds me of all those years and all those times and all those people who said no and all those people who said yes to me, like everything just all like in a gumbo, where I'm like, I want to contribute to this. I want to help those that that's having a hard time the same way I did. And that's why I created GainesCon Film Festival, because not only it aims to our genre creators, the action, sci-fi, fantasy, and horror creators. But it also gives you an opportunity, even if you're not in a high scale, to showcase your work. Only thing I ask is that it makes sense and it's put together decent enough, and I'll accept it. Understand this too. When you actually do put in your work to GainesCon, I look at it. Okay, me and my crew look at it, but pretty much I look at it. Okay, and when I look at it, I make the decisions on where, hey, you know what, this is going to make it. This is going to make it. Now, my team too look at it as well. Sometimes when I don't have time, they'll look at it and then they'll say, "Yeah, I think this is going to work," and they push it. And I'll look at it and make sure, because my concern is this: I want to make sure that what I am seeing and what I want the model to be, like those I want in, I have a sensitivity to certain films. I have a sensitivity to this whole business, especially people in indie filmmakers like myself and like you. So I know what I'm looking for, and I want to kind of keep that model consistent. And that's why I pick those. And I pick every one pretty much that comes through. So when you come down to the festival, I pretty much know who you are. That's a big deal to me because I've been to a lot of festivals. And if you have been to a lot of festivals, you know what I'm talking about, right? You feel like you're just a number. No one really knows your shit. You come along, people don't know who the hell you are unless you say something, unless you have a huge film with a huge budget and the scale is just off the roof and it really stands out amongst everyone else. But if you're like a mid or lower or whatever, and you still have work in that festival, a lot of times, man, no one knows who the hell you are, nor do they care. And sometimes you just don't feel like, why am I even here? Sometimes. So that's why I don't want my film festival to feel that way. I don't want you to film that way. You will never ever feel that way. I will know who you are. My crew, my team will know who you are, because every submission is vital to us. Every submission means a lot to us. Every submission reminds me of me. I'm looking at myself. And when I see that, I'm like, yeah, we got to put this person. Let's see what we can do. But see, on top of this too, is not just the festival, guys. It's also that I have these workshops that I'm developing. I had one right now last year. Well, early in the year, okay, just to kind of like a test, and have some great people there as speakers, including myself. We had a nice little gathering of people who just are interested in the genre, who were currently martial artists. Some people are currently actors. Some people are currently stunt performers. So they understood it. They just want to say, you know what, we don't really have too many places like that. We can just sit and talk and gather and world build together. And that is what I want to build. So it was a really, really nice gathering. And I want to do more of that. But the only way I can actually get to do more and contribute to the Las Vegas community is with you guys, with your help. So if you go to my page, go ahead and email me your contributions if it comes to either like maybe some equipment, or mainly what we're looking for are funds to actually rent these places out, or if you have a place that you can give to us that we can rent out for a for these workshops, it'll be great because these workshops is just not like me walking around talking. I'm getting industry professionals in as well. That does help. You know what I mean? We are a nonprofit, so there's so much money and so many people we can get. We want to get local talent, local professionals, local businesses here to talk about their work, about what they are doing, and also just showcase what we have here. There's a lot of stems. Vegas is a very, very nice. It's a smaller town, but it's deep. All right, it's deep with talent, deep, deep with a lot of talent. And a lot of times you don't even see it. They work and they're doing their thing or whatever. You know what I mean? But I loved it to kind of let's pull them up and show the world, like, yo, bro, listen, we're not just gambling. We're not just live performances, which is awesome, by the way. Nothing wrong with that. Trust me, I love it. That's why my wife and I came here. Love the lights, love the music, love all that. So don't get me wrong. I'm not talking about that. I love that shit. Oh my God, forget about it. But at the same time, there are filmmakers here that I feel that should be lifted up just as much. You know, now everyone knows, not everyone, but a lot of people out there knows that there's been talk about getting studios down here and everything else, and it fell through. And you have people like Marky Mark, or I just don't call him Marky Mark, but Mark Wahlberg. You got other celebrities out here. You got Nick Cage out here. You got people out here already, and others that I don't even know, that are hanging out here. But we all know that big studios such as Warner Brothers and Paramount and Sony all have their eyes on Las Vegas. We already are seeing a lot of the sports teams come here. You already see that, right? You got the hockey team. You got the football. You got the Raiders out here. We right now have the athletics. Coming in. The Oakland Athletics are coming here, are obviously going to be called the Las Vegas Athletics. I'm assuming, you know what I mean? So, they're building their stadium here. So I pass it every now and then when I drive. So, a lot of things are coming here. And this is why building a community for filmmakers is very, very vital right now. Because, like I said before, we don't have that many spots where people can just gather, world build together, and let's start just doing something consistently. And I want to start creating that. It's kind of tough right now because at the same time, I'm working, trying to get my funds up on my own thing. But at the same time, just trying to go out there and trying to get people on the same level who actually have the same drive, that are not bullshitting, not just hanger-ons. To be honest, every place, every city, every state always have, people who hanger on. So you try to get those people away and get people who are serious, who really want to do some shit. So when you call them, they're there. You know what I mean? When you want to meet, they're there. So you want people who are actually going to do shit. So that's the hardest sometimes in any place. I'm not just talking about here, I'm talking about any place. So when you find those people, you get those people together and say, hey, listen, let's build this place and start inviting people. Because the places that I want to put together, I don't want to charge anybody for it. I want people just to come in, and I want to get education for everyone, including myself. I want to get people. I don't know everything, of course not. You know what I mean? I'll love to get a entertainment lawyer and someone to come in there and just get deep on people. About different aspects of contracts, depending upon your position, what you should do, what you should not do, where the industry is going when it comes to this. All these things, education, period, never ends. You always want to educate yourself. And that is what I want to do as GainesCon. That is the whole goal of it. This is why I put my own money out every year to make this annual film festival come to life as much as I can, making sure that everyone is showcased properly, make sure everyone who needs to see you sees you as much as we possibly can pull in. And the more help that we have, the more help we can give to people. And that is the whole concept of GainesCon Film Festival. And that is why I developed it. This is why my team is so gun-ho and always working hard to try to scale this thing and reaching out to people and making sure that every day that we are on this planet, every time we go ahead and try to mold GainesCon together. We do it with care and love and nothing but wanting to help people like yourself, help the indie filmmaker like us. Because remember, I'm one of you too. So, we're all on the same ship. So this is why I'm out tonight to tell you about this because I think, a lot of times I'm not on here as much because I'm doing so many things in the background, just trying to bring in money, trying to bring in interest. We're doing a lot of things as much as we can. And for me, sometimes, yes, I know I need to be on a little bit more, you know what I mean? Online live, I love doing live more than anything else. And I love to just be on there and just talk, I'm just talking from the heart. There's no script, there's no setup. This is who I am. So when you meet me, I'm pretty much the same. I don't change. So I'm not a fake. So this is how I am 24/7, 7 days a week. I've been like this all my life. All right. So you're seeing me. You're not seeing the act. I'm not sitting here, my face all dolled up and what I'm saying? Eyes all like all the time and whatnot. And when you meet me, I'm just all like this. No, this is who I am. And that's why I want to meet who you are. And this is why we're doing what we're doing. And I just want you to understand the passion that we have, the direction that we're going, the model that we are building consistently every year. And we're trying to grow and grow and grow. And that's why we always need your assistance. We're a nonprofit organization. So we're always going to need assistance at any type to help us scale and help people out there in Las Vegas and beyond. I mean, it's a lot out there for people to assist. It's a lot of big festivals out there. There really are some great stuff out there. They're really big. They earned it. They earned their spot. And we just want to be part of that. We just want to contribute to those efforts. We may not be as big as those guys, but our passion is just as big. And that's why we just need you there with us. And we want to help you. So yeah, so reach out to us whenever you can, and we want to talk to you guys definitely. And I can't wait for this year. It's going to be so much fun. Now, listen. Now, I went ahead all this time and talked about, hey, what we do. And yes, now, so much stuff going on. So let me get to something else. If you made it this far, thank you so much for listening to me rattle on for a little bit about what we do, because I'm very passionate about what we do, very serious about what we do, because we want to help as much people as we can, okay, before we leave this earth, okay? You know what I mean? So, but also this year, I want to let you know, we are going to have Optic Studio and the owner, Chris Reese, there to speak about the industry. Now, you may say to yourself, who the hell is Chris Reese and what the fuck is an Optic Studio? I understand. Well, you're going to hear about that and you should know about this. So, Optic Studio is a new studio that's being run by Mr. Chris Reese, which is a very, very large studio here in Las Vegas. It's being built right now. It's going to have the state of the art work for all creators. We're talking about LED walls. We're talking about, of course, regular rooms where you can actually film what you want. He has a huge, huge space that he's developing right now. And we want to showcase that during GainesCon this year and have the man himself that's putting this all together, Chris Reese, to talk to you about his plans with Optic Studios for Las Vegas and where it's going and, who he is and where did he come from and his goal with Optic Studio. It really is, of course, to help you, to help us. You know what I mean? Assist us. We need a space. He has to make money too. Yes, of course, he's going to rent out like anybody else, but he's going to have the equipment needed to get whatever you want done. That's one-stop shop, baby. It's all a one-stop shop, and that's what he's developing, which is awesome. And the biggest thing about these things is space. A lot of studios just don't have much space. They have a little space, or they have a nice size, like a meeting space. No, this place is humongous. And just having that, being able to drive cars in there, yes, you heard right. You can drive cars in there. That's how big it is. So having that and making that and making and having this space to make a beautiful set piece, come on now. There you go. And someone who's willing to work with you in order to get your story across, to complete your project. Yes, that's what we need. So that's why Mr. Chris Reese was going to be here this year to speak about his studio. It's going to assist a lot of people here in Vegas. I cannot wait for him to come down and speak because I have questions too. So it's going to be fun. Also, we're going to have our music guests, Affliction, and they come down every year, which is great. They're a husband and wife group, hip hop and R&B, just making sure, just kind of bringing some sounds in to make sure everyone can kind of relax a little bit, not just see movies, but dance a little bit, bob their head a little bit. Those guys that are incredible. They'll be here this year again as well. So look out for them. Also, have my man Scott Windhauser. Scott Windhauser is a Hollywood action director who's been around for many, many years. And he has a new film that we are going to have a special presentation on this year. Yes. So look him up. You see what I'm talking about. I'm not even going to say the name. Just say Scott Windhauser. Check him out. Okay. And you see everybody that he's been with, and all the celebrities that's been in his movies where he wrote and directs. So he's a writer, director, and producer. All right. So he does like a lot of things too. Independent filmmakers like ourselves, even if when you get up there, you do everything. You know what I mean? Is you want to do it as much as you can, it's just easier and it gets more accurate to how you want your story told and seen, you know. And also we're going to have a man, Don Terrell, who is a podcaster. So he's going to actually interview people there. Okay. He did it last year, it was great, it was awesome. You don't get that. I don't know where you really get that really in any film festival. Okay. Maybe a little here and there, but I really have not heard that too often at all. Where you're going to have someone sitting there interviewing everyone that comes in, and it's going to be live and it's going to be on YouTube. And you're going to have many, many people looking at it because he has a nice big following. So, yes, why not sit there and have someone talk about your work, why you did it, where are you going, what does this mean? It's awesome. And then you can go online and say, hey, listen, I interviewed this person. You want to see who I am? There I go. So these things, and on top of that, of course, showcasing your work in the theater simultaneously online through our third party company called EOFlix. So that all comes together. So it's a nice place where people can sit down, watch some films and all short films. So that helps because you know why? Of course, it's easier to make a short film sometime, because it's shorter, obviously. But also, too, people are there to see all types of ideas. No one has to dedicate so much time into one story, especially if you really don't like it. But you see so many of them, you sit down and say, "Oh, this is a good story. Oh, let me try another one." It's like a Twilight Zone. You know, it's probably like a Twilight Zone thing. It's really cool. You just sit there and watch a whole bunch of movies. Now, it's not just that watching movies and everything else. Also, on the last day, I do give out um, awards. So we have what we call the Dragon Awards. Oh man, the Dragon Awards is incredible. Okay, and it was designed by my illustrator in Ireland, David Jennings. David Jennings. You see, David Jennings is an incredible artist. Trust me, I'm not even exaggerating. You want some like A-level shit that you see in Disney, you see in Hollywood. He's that level. Okay, so I'm very fortunate to know the man, and he designed the dragon. And if you go on my page, you'll see the dragon, and also it's hand painted um, by Mrs. Rios, Faith Rios, and so they all are a little independently like different, because it's all hand painted, and designed by David Jennings. And at the same time, I print them out. We got a place that actually creates them for us, and it's a beautiful, beautiful dragon. And in fact, you know what? Let me show you something. You see this? This is the gold dragon. The gold dragon goes to all of the categories except for one. The best picture of the year gets the red dragon, which is this. So, picture of the year gets the red dragon. The other categories get the gold dragon. Okay. Then also, there are categories where you get a certificate for what you do. All right. So, you have like three awards. And depending what you put your movie in, is what award that can possibly get. Now, oh, sorry about now you hear all the popping. With this, when just to let you know, when you send in or say you're accepted into the festival, you're automatically um, nominated for whatever trophy or certificate is for that category. You're automatically um, in it. Okay. And I do that because I don't like the whole concept of picking some people and not picking people because sometimes, we may change. You may say, "Oh, you know what? This person's going to win. This person's going to win." And next thing you know, you get like a day before, and things change. Maybe someone comes in. Maybe something happens. And it's like, "Oh, maybe I should have put this person in." So instead of us going through, "I should have," or maybe maybe I don't know, my taste may change, or what? I think this person. Instead of going through all of that, then I say, you know what? Everyone's in. And I personally don't make these decisions until a day before the nominations. So once, like literally a day before, I make those decisions. So because I want to sit on them, I really want to look at them. I want to just digest them and say, okay, what is it? To let you know, guys, I actually watch movies more than once. It's not like we just have a few movies. We have a nice amount of movies, and we're still looking for some now. So that's why I said, if you do have an action film, sci-fi, independent film, anything at all, please go to filmfreeway.com and submit your work today. You have till November. Okay, so we still have space. We'd love to see your work. So I watch them all. They're short films, so I can watch them twice. It's not like 2-hour features. So yeah, I try to digest as much as I can to make sure I'm making a fair decision on who wins these awards. It's important to me. It's important to my team. I'm quite sure it's important to you too. You want to be fair. And this is what we do. And this is what we're all about. And this is why I created GainesCon Film Festival. And that's why, if you see, it's my last name, GainesCon, right? Because I do things a little differently. I want this under what I'm trying to do. I want people to know when they hear my name, things work a different way, a much fairer way, a more logical way, a more practical way, the best way I can. I'm not perfect. Of course, I'm not perfect, of course. You know what I mean? We make mistakes. You're there, you're there to tap my shoulder if I need to, you know what I mean? But all in all, I really have a way of doing things, and I feel it's best because if you are out there, understand being in the business and all types of levels in different sectors, going to different film festivals, just the whole thing, just the whole thing. That there's certain ways that things go, and it's not the best of all times. It's not. But then you have people who go in a different direction, and it works for you, or maybe not, whatever. I'm just one of those people who like to go in different directions because I'm like, you know what? Or because you do it a lot doesn't make it right. Or because most people do this doesn't make it right. I give you an example of that. I give you an example of that. There's one rule during filmmaking that kind of gets my crawl, right? Because I've seen it broken so many times and whatever. And it's called the 180 rule. You guys know what I mean, right? You know what I mean. Yep, you heard it a million times, right? Learning in school and film school and stuff like that. It's very, it's 101. It's film 101. Okay, you learn that right away. Well, I mean, yes, we get it. You say, well, you know what? You don't want to break the 180 rule because then people don't know the eye line of the actors and stuff like that. And it kind of throws people off when they watch a movie. I have never sat in a movie theater in my life, look at a scene, and if that 180 is broken, it breaks my concentration. That never happened to me, like ever. Has it happened to you? Plenty of uh plenty of directors went and showed one angle this way, and then may show another angle the opposite way and broke that 180 real fast and going back to the 180 and break it again. They'll break it in scenes. They'll break it all in like one shot, like one scene. You know what I mean? Because they want to give a different perspective. They want to give the audience a different perspective. They want you to feel a certain way. So to me, one of those rules to me, I don't even care for. I'm like, I don't care about that. The eye line is going to be the eye line. All right. And like I said, I have seen it broken so many times in the past that I'm like, did you ever think like, oh, wow, look at that. The camera's on the other side. I don't know where people are looking. What? What? You don't know what people are looking? It's two people in the fucking scene. You see what people are looking at. You notice the scenes the scenes is the scene. Okay. People are looking at whatever. It's not going to throw you off. It really isn't. I think it's just overemphasized, and he's done it for so long. That's all people know, and they think it works in a way. Yeah, of course it works in a way, but it's not the end all to be all. You got to understand, to me, because to me is this creativity. You know what? Creativity never stops creating. It never stops growing, expanding, learning new things. That's what creativity is about. Think about it. Every rule that comes in when it comes down to like filmmaking itself, like certain that the technical parts. Well, you can say kind of the technical parts, but certain things, like I mentioned, the 180, right? Because someone did it a few times where people see and say, "Oh, you know what? That actually looks really good and it works because it worked. So they say, you know what? That's a rule because it works. Until someone makes something else and does something else and it looks really good and it works. Think, oh shit, I didn't know about that one. Oh, I guess I could. Yeah, well, that works. Let's give it a name. That's all it comes from. It doesn't come from almighty high. It comes from people trying new shit. It comes from people just thinking and trying new ways and saying, I think this is the best way to tell this type of story or this type of moment. I think these situations work best like this. I did it. What do you think? And it worked. And someone did it again and it worked again. And it did it again and it worked again. A lot of times, it's very similar to scientists when they discover things, right? It's not just one scientist say, hey, it's going to work. You have a whole bunch of scientists around the world doing the same exact experiment to see if they come up with the same answer. Same thing when it comes to filmmaking. People just say, you know what, you did that. Let me try that. Do I come with the same answer? Meaning that does my scene, work the same way that yours did, maybe. You know what I mean? So if it did, oh shit, that's really cool, man. I want to try that. I mean, think about shutter speed. I mean, people's like, I'm quite sure there was a time, and I can't say it is, so I could be wrong, guys. So go ahead, you can just rip me if you want to. But I'm quite sure there's a part where when people with the shutter speed say, listen, if you put the shutter speed to a certain to a certain range, say 1 over 150 or something like that, right? And it starts to shutter, meaning it has like a little shimmer to it. Like every time you move it, or every time someone goes across the lens, excuse me, across the lens, it has a slight little shimmer to a little shake. I'm quite sure there's a time that no, 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 you don't want to do that. You want a nice smooth. You don't, when you go back and if you pan back and forth, or you have someone come across the frame, you don't want them to jiggle a little bit. You want a nice smooth look until someone said, no, you know what? Time has changed and we want something a little more dynamic. So I'm going to go ahead and change that shutter speed, and I'm going to put a little action scene. Or in fact, I'm going to put something really fast in there and give you that slight little like dynamic and a little kinetic feel to it, and see if that works. And people say, oh shit, that looks good because that person did it in a certain environment, in a certain way. And people are like, oh shit. And then next thing you know, everyone started doing it. Now, the one movie that did it that comes to mind right away, that like the first time I really noticed it was Saving Private Ryan. It was probably done before, I can't remember. But the first movie that really did that made that prominent, was Saving Private Ryan, the opening shot, the opening scene. Okay. When you see those soldiers come off those U-boats, and you see them getting shot, and you see everyone running on the beach, okay, of Normandy. You see that little jitter. Well, I remember that was a specific look that Spielberg talked about when the movie came out. I didn't see it before, and maybe it was somewhere before. And if it was somewhere before, it wasn't in a big film that you really noticed. But that film I did. Now what happens? Everyone's doing it. You saw that in Winter Soldier. When Winter Soldier was in the street fighting Captain America, when he's flipping the knife and everything, that scene, that panning shot, that scene of them running down the street fighting, and that little shimmer was the adjustment of the shutter speed. So they give that because you know why? It looked really good because Spielberg knew what he was doing. He did it in an environment and in a moment that worked. So everyone's like, oh, let's do the shutter speed. Oh, that looks good. Well, why didn't you do it before? Because maybe someone, oh, you don't do that? I mean, I can go back to I give you another example, because these are things that drive me nuts. There's another example I tell you is Francis Ford Coppola when he did Godfather. Now, if you go and look at the making of it, when he did Godfather, the very opening shot was very dark, right? I mean, even to me, I remember years ago, I was like, damn, is there something wrong with my TV? It was really dark. Well, he lost like, I think two, I could be wrong, I think like two cinematographers because they didn't want their name on the shot like that. Because they say you just don't do that. People can't see it. You don't do that. You can't do that. Because every shot, people need to see what's going on. You can't have it really dark and you can't know what's going on. You just hear shit. You don't do that. That's not the rule. The rule. Francis Coppola said, fuck your rules. It's my creation. It's my mind. I'll tell you what the rules are in my mind. Okay. Got someone to do it. And what happens? That whole look, that dark look, now is famous. Every fucking one movie wants to do it. Get to a point where it's real dark. So when you watch Godfather, the first one, that opening scene of it's just really, really dark. And you see the gentleman in front of the Godfather asking for help because his daughter was raped by this guy. And then you slowly see the Godfather kind of come into light. And the reason that Francis Ford Coppola wanted that, because he said, listen, they are the mob. They are evil people. They live in darkness. They don't live in light. Everything they do is darkness. So you should not be in their environment with light. He wanted to kind of jump off the movie with that. Like, you're in darkness. You are dealing with darkness. And that's why he wanted that. And he got it. Now everyone wants to do it every now and then. For years after that, people were copying like crazy. But at first, it was the rule. First, it was the rule. You just don't do that. You just don't do that. No, no, you got to about that. Like, fuck, shut the fuck up. Creation always grows, and creation always works. When it works, that's when it becomes something. So that's my rant when it comes down to these rules. So, guys, women, please make your story. Do whatever you want to do. Make it how you want to make it. All right. People are going to like it. People are not going to like it. That's just the balance of nature, baby. But the main thing is that you want to be able to go to bed, put your head in that pillow with no regrets. You said, I did everything I wanted to do. Now, if I need to adjust something and I need to fix something, then that's between you and yourself. And you go ahead and you kind of, you know, put that on the next film. But you know, when you did your work and you did your film or whatever, or you made your song, you did it the way you wanted to. And then from then, you learn from what you've done. That's the main thing, is to make sure you get everything you want, because you learn from yourself, not just other people. Of course, you have peers, that you look up to, but you really learn from yourself, guys. You know, you look at it and go, man, if I had more money, oh man, I shouldn't have did that. Oh man, even the pros have that. Even the big shots have it. You know, excuse me. You hear them in BTS, behind the scenes. You hear them say these things, and man, I wish I can do this. I wish I just did. It always happens. It's never perfect. But what they can, most of them, not all, well, most can't, but the few that can say, I did exactly what I wanted. That's what happened. So now when I go for my next one, I know how to either improve it or what I want to keep. And then you just grow on from there. So when it comes down to my festival, guys, this is how I look at films. This is how I'm looking at your film. And this is how I'm making my film. So I'm making a new film now, and it's called The Guild. And I'm making some short films to introduce the characters of the Guild. And it's about vampires and werewolves. And it's a very large story. And I'm just writing like crazy and going for it. I already filmed one of the shorts. I have another short I'm going to film the next month. I'm going to have another short I'm going to film before the year's out. And this is all about just kind of getting my point across the way I want to, making sure I can see what's going to work, what's not going to work before I even attempt to do the feature film, because everyone, including myself, will now have an idea of what we look like, how we feel, where people can go, how people are going to look. It's kind of a testing ground at the same time you're making films. You still kind of greasing those gears, man, keeping it going. And also just building on the idea you already have, because now visually you can see it. You have actors kind of feeling it out, what they want to do. Now it starts to come to life. So then you're like, okay, this looks really good. Now, if we go ahead and go for a feature and get funded or get supported, everyone pretty much that's involved knows where we're going. So when you ask them and you speak to them on the side by themselves, we all sound similar, because we all pretty much said, listen, we already did shorts on this. We already talked about this forever. So now when we actually go into the feature, there's not much searching going on. There's always going to be growth, of course, but we have a good footing of where we want. And that's how it should be for you. I mean, listen, I understand not everyone has the time, but like I said, just make sure you do what you want to do. And listen, I'm a filmmaker. I'm talking about film, but I could be talking about anything. This goes for anything, guys. Anything that you feel that you should be doing and you want to keep at it and you want to work hard to kind of get to not the finish line, but just kind of get to that point where you say, man, I'm doing it now. Finally, I'm doing it. And I still got a road to go to, but I'm in the game, man. I'm in. That's what you want. Because understand, you know what? I have a thing for myself. I don't call things dreams. You hear that a million times. You always say, "Oh, go for your dreams." I don't like the term dreams so much, because dreams to me are unattainable. They're dreams. You can't get to them. What I like to use is pretty much, it may be long-winded, but I say, what were you built for? What are you born to do? That's what I like to say. Do what you were born to do. Be who you are. That's what you want. That's what you're striving for. You're not striving for a dream. You're striving to get to what you are meant to do. You need to do that. This is what you're made to do. You were born for this. This is who you are. So you're not going for a dream that's something that you want to be. No, you're going to build on something that you already are. You just want to be, you want to build on it. You want to strengthen who you already are. So that's why to me, I say, you know what? Be who you are. Become fully who you are and go for that. Be direct, be diligent, and get it. You want to be an actor? Be an actor. You want to be a lawyer? You want to be a doctor? You want to be an engineer? Whatever. Get it. Do it. If that's in your blood and you can't live without it, do it. Say to yourself, if I had all the money in the world, what would I be doing? After, I don't know, I'm doing all kind of crazy shit. But if I had everything, what would I be doing? If I had no wants, I this is just what I'll be doing all the time. Like I'll just be tinkering with this or whatever. That is who you are. That is the direction that you go to. Because now every day won't be working. You just be breathing. It's just who you are. That is what you want to set your goals out. And that's how it is for me. Always been that way. Be who you are. And also this, do not let anyone, anybody lower your standards. You know where your standards are. It's always going to be high. Your standards are always going to be where you want to be, always. And if somebody cannot get to those standards, especially if they're doing something that's not up to your standards, there's no reason to, unless you're going to help them come up. You want to help them come up, sure. But I say that because there's people around that just stay where they are for years and they're not going anywhere and it's not helping you any, especially if you want to go further up. You want to be a little more serious. You want to try to say, hey, listen, I want to play with the big dogs. You know what I mean? I want the headache. I want to see what it's all about. I want to get in there. Let me just get in there. And those guys are like, nah, man, because if you go to Hollywood, it's gonna be like this, man. If you do that, man, they're gonna take all your shit, man. All those people, man, are on top. All those people are getting you, man. Those is envious. Envy. That is something you don't need on your side. Those you push away and say, you stay in your bucket. All right. I'm moving on. All right. Because whatever that is, I don't want any of that. Whatever that is, I don't not need that in my circle. And whatever that is stinks. It smells. I'm not a person to be around shit that smells. So you have a plan. You want to go somewhere. Once you start hearing people talk down about the shit that you want to do, you just push that shit aside, bro. Leave that shit alone. You like, you know what? You're something else, and that's not what I need. You push them away. So if you want to be a superstar, you be a superstar. You want to be an indie and you want to stay in an indie level and that's it, you be fucking indie level. That's it. But if anyone says anything else about what you want to do or whatever you want to be, you say, you know what? That shit didn't work out for you. I'm going to find out for myself and see what's up because maybe it didn't work out for somebody else. They're going to try to put down something that you did. And then, I mean, sorry, something that you want to do, they're trying to put down because they didn't make it. That's their problem. You say that's a you problem. So different than when you meet people. Some people say, "Yo, that guy's an asshole. She's fucking crazy." And like, well, maybe she's crazy with you. Your vibe is different than mine. Your whole feel, your whole aura, your whole thing is different than me. I'm not you. Let me go and find out myself. And it becomes the same. If this person or situation is the same way that you describe, okay, cool. But I'm not going to take your full word for it because when I get into a situation, the energy may be different. People act different. I may see something that I like, whatever. So find out all these things for yourself. Always understand that. Find out for yourself, of course, within reason, but I'm saying, you know, find out for yourself. And then you make the decision. Because, hey, listen, the world's going to spin with or without you. So, you might as well see what's on the other side sometime. And if it doesn't work, hey, you can get away. Let's move, make this, just move on with yourself. So All right, everybody. I know I've been speaking about GainesCon. I've been speaking about my ideas when it comes to indie filmmaking, what GainesCon does, and what we're here to do, and how much we need your assistance, and how much we love the work that you provide us and keep us doing what we're doing. Your work inspires us to keep GainesCon up and going. You know, so I just want to go live tonight. I don't have that much. I don't go on live as much as I used to. I mean, there was years ago when I used to be on almost every other day. You know what I mean? Now, doing other things, I'm not on as much. So I am going to try to get on more, and I prefer live. So check me out. But also, too, I do have a page that I'd like you guys to check out on YouTube. It's called Mission Movie Reviews. My co-host is Mr. Justin Green, who is currently the director of marketing for GainesCon. So he's helping us out. Just got on board. We're going to see how that rolls. It's rolling really well. So I'm really happy for him to be on board. And he also has his own station on YouTube called Green Screen, Greene, where he's trying to build that page for himself as well, where he reviews movies. Mission Movie Reviews says in itself, Justin and I speak about films that we speak about films together. We speak about situations in films or this stuff. We just talk about films, okay? And we mostly talk about action films, sci-fi films, fantasy films, horror films, the fun stuff, the exciting stuff. That's what we like to talk about, and we talk about that usually every week. So we're always putting a video out. So check it out. Go to YouTube. Go Mission Movie Reviews on YouTube, and also check out Green Screen for Justin's. His name is Justin Green. So check it out. And everyone out there who has been watching me, thank you so much. If I didn't answer you, pardon me. I know people were saying some things here. So let me before I go, I'm going to just read a few things. I know some people have been on here already. And so I say, yeah, hey, everyone that's saying hi, thank you so much. Hi, I can hear you. Thank you very much. No, this is Nailed by Nicole. Thank you very much. We have another one here. Have a blessed night. Handpick Waving. Thank you so much by JC Lynn Heiler, 8029. If I mess up your name, pardon me. And then thank you, Nailed by Nicole. Can't wait. I can't wait to. Hope you're going to be there. And tickets will be available real soon. So tickets will be out soon. We're just developing what we need. And when it's ready to go, we're going to drop it and you can buy tickets and everything else. And if you are part of the show already, like you already submitted your work and I accepted it, I'm like, yeah, let's do it. You have one free ticket to do whatever you want to give to whoever you want. It's the one free. Anybody else that comes with you are going to have to buy a ticket. But, the creator has one. So hey, come on in. We want as many people in there as possibly can, have a good time, watch movies, talk about movies, meet each other, begin world building. Let's go, let's go, let's go. You know what I mean? So anyone out there has any questions, hit me up. Love all of you guys. Thank you so much for listening to me. If you have gotten this far, love you. Love you. Thank you so much. And I'll be on again, answer any questions. And I can't wait to see you guys in December. Also, too, look out for my movie because we're filming that. So, and that's it. And look out for our YouTube pages. Anyway, love you guys. Be safe out there. Keep creating. And we'll be talking again real soon. All right. Peace.